I am waiting for Kiva. Oh, there she is. All right. And today we'll be talking about how to host an event as an influencer. All right.
Hi. Sorry about my tardiness.
It's okay. I was nervous. Like, is her thing not working? Is she going to get on? What's going on? All right. So let's give some people what they say. Come on in. Come on in.
Let's do our tap with the brown. Come in the room.
Come on in the room.
Hey, Irma. Hey, Simply Tati. Sorry about
Talitha. That's like my sister. Simply Talitha. Here in Hype.
You have a sister? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I do. She's a I don't know, she's not a blogger, but she's on Instagram. She has a good presence on here. She does a lot of home. So like if you're into home design and interior design, they build a home like every other year. Literally.
Oh, okay. I need to follow her.
Hi. All right, what time is it? I meant to look at, I can't see the time. Let me see, 7:04. So I guess we have an hour. So we'll see if we end up taking that whole time or not. But should we just go ahead and get started, or you want to wait like another minute?
Wait till 7:05.
7:05? Okay. So we'll
get
that. How's your,
there's a way.
What'd you say?
There are live. Like I know sometimes when I get messages from people saying like, hey, so-and-so is live.
Oh, yeah. There is a way to share. Let's see.
Hey, Nija, how are you? Let's see. How do you share here?
It lets me just go down the line and start sharing. I'm trying not to.
Really? That's how you do it? Really? Yikes.
Yeah.
Does anybody know how to share the lives like in a group message?
We'll figure that. Okay, I'm done. Let me quit. Like, I can just keep going.
Okay.
All right. Hello, hello, hello. Again, we're talking about how to host an event as an influencer. So we will get started here. Is it 7:05 yet? Yeah, it is. So we should probably just go ahead and get started so we don't get cut off, because I don't know how long it'll take. We do have a plan. Right. So hopefully it doesn't go over an hour, but we want to talk about the topic, and then at the end we'll answer some of your questions. I think there's a question. Yeah, there is. So like if you happen to have a question while we're talking, you can definitely put it in that question box, and one of us will figure out how to get to that box and answer them. But we do have some questions that came in before that we also wrote down that we'll answer as well. So with that, you want to introduce yourself, Kiva?
Yes. Thank you so much for being here, guys. We know that today it's getting kind of crazy out in the real world, but thank you for just taking a break from all the chaos and joining us for 1 hour. We'll be talking about how to plan an event as an influencer. I know that some of you probably like, okay, y'all plan one event, y'all think y'all know everything, but listen,
hey,
we on our own, and like, you know, in the corporate world and the everyday life, you know, mom, like if you're a mom, you plan events all the time, okay? So we're just bringing our knowledge that we learned on our last event and just want to share it, because, you know, sharing is caring. And plus, you know, this year, 2021, we're going to be doing more of like stepping out of our comfort zone, sharing our knowledge. You know, there's a stigma that says that like, unless you have so many followers, you can't really be an authority for us. That's not true. Like you can have 5 and, you know,
look at my count, okay?
So listen, y'all, whoever's watching right now, do not worry about your follower count. If you have a message, if you have something to share, you know, tell the world, okay? By the way, I'm Kiva, the Fun Foodie Mama. Probably should have said that first. And yeah, thanks, Stephanie, for doing this live with me.
And I'm Stephanie from Great Life is a Must. And so Kiva and I, we met on Instagram. Now, I can't really tell you when. Let me start off. So I just got to Tampa in July of 2019. And then around like October, I decided, you know what, I actually kind of really want to take this blogging thing seriously. So I just started looking up hashtags, finding all the people that I could that were bloggers in the area. And like, y'all were so welcoming. Everybody was nice. And, you know, nobody was like, who's this new girl? So here we are in 2020 of November hosting our first event together. You know, Kiva trusted this newbie girl and was like, let's do it. So we did. So like she said, we're just here to share with you guys why you should host an event, how you should host an event, and then answer some of your questions, tell you some of our lessons learned, because we definitely learned some along the way too. So we'll just go ahead and get started. I think Kiva and I talked about the main thing is, or not the main thing, but one of the things that we want to discuss is why should you even host an event? Like, you might be an influencer or looking at getting into influencing, and you probably see all the influencers on, you know, Instagram, social media, whatever, posting about the products that they're using or their family, their lifestyle, or whatever. But influencing can be so much more than that. And so, like she said, in 2021, we want to go outside of the box and think differently, especially when it comes to how we can make money. So you don't have to just go to a restaurant or partner with a restaurant and not, you know, not just as not, I'm not saying it's like, I'm not belittling it, but you can do more than posting for or doing sponsored posts. You know, you can actually be doing something, you know, up under your own business name. So definitely one of the reasons is to host as an influencer is the financial benefit. So you absolutely can make money from hosting an event. I wish I had the capacity to do more than one or two a year, but child, I was spent.
A lot of parts, okay?
Oh Lord, yeah, it's a lot. So, you know, definitely know that it's not just, oh, let me just plan this little event, it'll be so simple. No, definitely not that. The other reason, or one of the benefits to host, is because of the partnerships that you have an opportunity to build. So whether it's with brands or with other like-minded bloggers or influencers or people in the community. So that's definitely a plus. Obviously brand visibility. So once you're hosting that event or promoting that event, people are seeing your name, you know, especially after the event, people are seeing your name, your brand, and they're, you know, you're establishing yourself again. Not necessarily, you don't have to say I'm the authority, I know it all, but you're establishing yourself as a legit brand, that you are actually doing something, you know, serious with your brand, and you actually are trying to, you know, add value in some way. So another reason to host is to practice your pitching skills. And so this, when you're, Kiva will talk about it in a second, just how you got to pitch. You got to put yourself out there. You got to, that took us the longest, was all of that. That was the biggest part. And then I talked about additional income. So Kiva, why don't you let's just kind of go through what it's like to plan an event. And so I think we should start with maybe the theme. So that's kind of the first step. Like, okay, I want to host. What kind of event do I want to host? So what can they do to kind of get that part down?
Exactly. So we're sharing 10 tips, guys. So we have 10 things that you should do if you're hosting an event as an influencer. So Stephanie went over the first one about why, you know, what's your why? What's the benefit of actually hosting what? And I'm going to talk about the theme. So once you decide to do an event, what's the purpose? Like, why? Like, are you trying to get, like Stephanie said, more brand visibility? Do you want to establish yourself in the community? You know, or is it like a charity event? You know, lots of people host charity events, which is a really good thing to do too. We didn't put a charity aspect to ours, but I know some people who do like an annual event, and those are really nice. So just establishing, you know, what time of the year, is it spring, is it fall, is it during wedding season? Well, we did ours in the fall for Thanksgiving, so we decided to call it a Friendsgiving. I know that's a popular term anyway, so, you know, it went along with the time of the year, us being influencer, you know, it has a nice spin to it, you know, Friendsgiving. We're friendly people. So yeah, so definitely have a theme, what's my last point? A purpose to your event. So our event was mostly a networking event. We want to get our names out there. You know, we're not like well-known bloggers in Tampa. I mean, people know us, but we're not like, hey, Kiva, like, you know, you're a celebrity. So just establishing our brand. So it was a way for us to establish our brand, and it was a way for us to have a networking event. So that was basically the purpose of our event. So definitely establish your theme and your purpose.
All right.
So number 3.
And then point number 3, so you've decided you want to have this event. You now know what type of event you want to have. Now the main thing that's going to guide the rest of your decision making is going to be your budget. Kiva said to me, how much do you want to invest?
Yes.
And I'm gonna let y'all know, we're not necessarily going to give you all the numbers, but it's the principles and the information that you want to pay attention to. So that was the most important question of this whole thing. And so Kiva didn't say, I want you to invest this much. Can you? She literally asked me, and I responded with how much I was willing to invest. And I did say to her that, you know, because it's literally just a social event, it wasn't something for charity or something like that. I wasn't probably what I would have invested more had it maybe been for charity, but it wasn't. It was just, you know, a social event that we were trying to put on. And so we had to come into agreement on what we were both willing to invest, because you have to invest some money in it. Yes, you can make money, but you also have to put some money into it in order to have a successful event. You know, those ticket sales, and plus ticket sales don't come until, you know, you don't get that money until later. So you definitely need to know what you're going to spend without going in debt. Do not go into debt as an influencer hosting an event like that. That just doesn't make any sense, you know? So consider, what is your personal budget? Like, how much, you know, disposable income do you have that you can put towards hosting an event? The other thing is not letting the fear of just the amount of what it could cost. Don't let that stop you. You establish your budget, and then you just host an event that's within that, you know? You can host some really good events for not that much of an investment. You know, it just really depends on how you use your influencer skills to really pull it off. So definitely start with a budget and then plan everything else after that.
And the good thing about having a budget when you have two people coordinating events is that you basically your budget doubles, because it's two people putting their money in a pot. So, you know, the more people you have on your team, you know, the bigger a budget per se will be. So think about that when you're actually hosting an event. Also, hosting an event by yourself is a lot of work. So I definitely would recommend that you have at least one other person that you're working with. So yeah, so the next about is connecting with brands. So, okay, once you establish your budget, now you're using your influence to reach out to brands who you have previously worked with, brands that you love, that you patronize on your own, even if you weren't an influencer. And that's when you, you know, look into your network first. I'm sure you guys have heard the term, your network is your net worth. So definitely start with your circle. You know, how can you network within your circle? Like, okay, do you have any friends who own businesses? Do you patronize a business like every single Friday? You know, does that business work well with your brand? So definitely that would be a really good point to start with, because now you're using your influence to collaborate with them and to let them know that, hey, you know, this is a joint business venture. You know, if you know, we can work together. We can both mutually benefit from this. And it's just the way you market. So you have to put a, I wouldn't say put a spin on it, but you have to let them know why it would be valuable to them to work with you.
Right, right. One of the things that, I don't know if you're ready to talk about that. This could be more so under networking also, but when it comes to like the collaborations, again, as an influencer, you absolutely have value. You know, your word matters. People value your opinion. And so, and a lot of brands, I mean, influencers are not a new thing. And I have to be honest, I actually hate that term. I don't like to even refer to myself as an influencer, but that's a whole nother live topic or something for another day. But you know, influencer is not a new thing. Companies and brands are used to working with them nowadays. And so, as you know, when you approach them, this is not like, oh, we've never been approached by one before, you know, so you can definitely approach them and figure out, you know, what you want, how you want that partnership to look. Maybe you're just asking for an influencer discount, you know, for the products that you're wanting to feature at your event, you know, just kind of thinking of what can you do to employ your influencer skills of networking and fostering relationships to be able to benefit, you know, your event as a whole. So, number 5, networking.
Yeah. I basically talked about that too, but basically, yeah, the networking, you have to utilize everything that you've done throughout the year. So like, if you've never reached out to a brand before and now you're hitting them up because like, hey, I need you to contribute, you know, 500 of your cakes to my event, probably won't work out too well. They're like, okay, so who are you again? So you got to make sure that you're reaching out to people that you've actually utilized, or that you've, you know, you've liked their post, you went to their place of business, you made a video about them, you know, something that they can kind of like think back, like, okay, yeah, you did support me. Because, you know, I mean, cold pitching you can do that, but that's a lot.
Yeah, it works sometimes. Yeah.
It's a lot more work though. You got to
really, it is
a value statement like, hey, you know, XYZ, this will really benefit you if you give me 500 of your cakes.
Right, right. The other part of networking, we didn't even put this in our notes, was that you and I working together, You're a foodie mama, same, same with me. We're both kind of doing similar things, not completely the same, but don't be afraid. I think you did a post about this, like just choosing to collaborate rather than compete. And so it is completely okay to reach out to a blogger or an influencer that has the exact same market as you, the exact same niche, the exact same. I mean, it could be everything could be the same, and don't think, oh, well, this is going to take away my followers, or I mean, just don't let that kind of silly competition, whatever jargon get in your head and stop you from working with someone that, may seem like a very similar, like they're in a similar lane, because this turned out to be a really great event. We were able to use both of our skills to, to the advantage of, to our advantage. Both are skilled in different ways, and it just came together well for us to be able to collaborate and put this event on. So don't be afraid of, reaching out to the next same, similar blogger as you and saying, hey, let's do something together. You guys all benefit from being able to work together. So
exactly. And if any of you guys have collaborated with other bloggers before, go ahead and let us know in the comments. Let us know some feedback, because we think collaboration is good, and sometimes people are like afraid to, like you said. And I don't think you should be afraid. So like, reach out to somebody that's like, okay, if you're a mom blogger, let's collaborate and do something together.
Right, absolutely. So all right, so we talked about networking. So next is the food. So past 2 days, I've been posting all the food that we had at our event. Like I said, we are both super foodies, and so it only made sense that our event was, really that was the whole purpose, was to come together and network and hang out and be able to eat good and kind of showcase some of the local businesses here in Tampa. And so honestly, I feel like it's not an event if there is no food. Like even if it's just chips, you got to have chips or dip or something on the menu. You cannot bring people together and not have something to eat. Again, it could be a simple snack, but it has to be something. I think people tend to socialize more when there's food involved, and I mean, it's just a nice element to have at an event. And honestly, you have to have it, like it's a necessity. So when planning your menu, again, you'll go back to what your theme is, and so you want to make sure that you're, kind of keeping the same theme. Ours was Friendsgiving, so right along with Thanksgiving. And so we had the mac and cheese, we had the turkey, some of the staples that go with Thanksgiving and things like that. Also, you want to make sure that the food is Instagrammable. So Kiva and I won't throw anything out there, but you just want to make sure that when you're working with the companies and you're saying, hey, this is a dish that I want to have, make sure that you ask for a dish that at least you feel like would photograph well, because you're going to post pictures of all of this stuff, so if you have some dish that's just kind of bland, not colorful in any way, or it just doesn't look good, unfortunately you can't use that image and that content goes to waste. So definitely be thinking about that, like what would look good on a table. Kiva was super adamant about not using tin aluminum pans. Yeah. And so I think it was so smart, because the tablescape was really simple, but it was pretty and it looked like a really well put together table, and I will say that we need to figure out how to keep food warm and still keep it pretty. So I will say definitely consider that if you're looking at hosting an event, like how can you still serve food hot but make it look Instagrammable at the same time? Because honestly, tin pans are not very pretty. I wouldn't have wanted a bunch of pictures. I mean, it just looks like your grandma's, table at Thanksgiving. There's not much Instagrammable about that. So that's definitely something you want to consider, though, is how can you keep that food warm and still have a nice tablescape for all the pictures that are going to be taken. I think that's it for menu planning. So just have good food, something savory, something sweet. If it is just kind of do you want it to just be munchies, or people standing up, or people sitting down? Just really put some thought into the food planning.
And you have to think about certain diets. We wanted to make sure we had some food for vegetarian people. We knew a couple of people were coming were pescatarian, vegetarian. So we had to, make sure we had some menu items that, people are paying a ticket price. So you want them to make sure they get their money's worth. So take that in consideration too, people's diets. Also, we worked with a person who had some table type decor, because we both said, okay, table plating and stuff not our strong suit, but maybe for like the visual, I knew that I didn't want tinfoil. I'm like, no, we can't look like we're outside somebody's barbecue. no shade to, you know, the barbecue lineup, but we want to look proper. So you got to have, you know, some nice plating. So also people like really love the food. You got to have like a wow factor. Like, hey, like make sure you have this, you know, something like that they can't get every day. Like people really love those egg rolls.
Yeah, they did. The
Those,
burger rolls from Chicago's Best Burgers.
but apparently they were really good.
They were.
You had a wide variety. That's another thing that
Hmm.
well, when you work with two different people, you can have like variety of menu items. It wasn't just like plain.
Right.
So we had a nice variety. We had, you know, some vegetarian, pescatarian options. So yeah, you got to make sure you have a well-rounded menu. And like you said, hindsight is 2020. We didn't like specify specifically with some of the vendors about what we wanted. We kind of just let them like, hey, you know, lead. And like Stephanie was saying, unfortunately, we couldn't use
Yeah, yeah. So be specific when you're talking with the brands, you know, to say exactly what it is that you want to have. Because you may say to them, well, you know, just we'll take whatever your most famous dish is or most popular dish is. And maybe it's not something, maybe it tastes really good. But I know I make some dishes that are taste really good, but I would never post them because it just looks like slop, you know? So you can't post everything.
right. Learned.
Yeah. So the next thing is kind of going with that is photography. So the first bit of advice, do not try to photograph your own event. I'm going to say that again. Do not try to photograph your own event. Do not think that somehow you will be able to be present at your event, socializing, talking, eating, and thinking you're going to be able to have your phone or your Canon out and taking pictures at the same time. It is not possible. It will not happen. You will have zero good pictures. Trust me, because it.
No, pictures of it.
Yeah, like none. So definitely employ a photographer. Somehow get a photographer for your event. The last thing when it comes to photography is have a list of exactly what you want that photographer to capture. Do not just say, yeah, just get good pictures, because you have to be planning as that influencer and thinking, what images do I need for marketing later? What images do I need for posting, you know, post event? What images do I really want to get pictures of? What images may I owe one of my collaborations? I mean, you just have to really be thinking about what it is that you need a photo of. There were some things that as we're posting, I was like, man, Kiva, we don't have a picture of this. People had these gorgeous photos of the sunset going down behind them. We didn't get one of ourselves. You know, I would have loved to have had a picture of just me with the sunset behind me. We didn't get one, you know, so little simple things that you just don't think about, but just making sure that you talk to your photographer and give them a list and say, hey, these are the things. It could be 25 things, whatever you guys agree to, how many pictures they're going to give you, but just make sure that you tell them, I got to have this. Like, these are the must-haves for capturing our event. Otherwise, we're kind of like, well, I guess, I don't know what we're going to do. There's some things that we don't have pictures of, and I think I had to take a picture from that vendor's page, which was fine. I'm sure they don't mind, but I would have, you know, liked to have captured it ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. That was our bad. Like, you know, we learned some lessons. That was one of the lessons.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had a photographer,
Yep.
had a videographer, but we didn't have a set list. Like, you know, say you're getting married, there's always like a wedding list, like a shots they have to get that the bride or the groom said they wanted. So think
Right.
that next time if you're planning an event, especially as an influencer, because whatever your agreement is with your collaborations, you have to, you know, you have to make good on it. You can't be like, oh, I'm going to post pictures of your products, and then you don't have any pictures of the product.
No product picture. Yeah. So definitely don't do that. Be thinking in advance. You know, again, these are just the key things to help make it successful, you know, as an event and, you know, in terms of your business, you know, the things that you need to deliver on. So definitely that.
I mean, we didn't get any shots as far as like a lot of people who attended were influencers, so they got all their like influencer shots of themselves. We were running,
Yeah.
talking and socializing and entertaining people, so we didn't get those type of shots. But I was happy that they at least got some, because every time somebody would post,
Yeah.
I was like, dang, I didn't get
No.
by myself. Dang.
Yeah. But next time, you know, we know. I mean, we're doing this, so we'll definitely take our own advice for the next event that we do. So number 8 was adding, so the next thing, Keith, we'll talk about just some other key things to add a little flair to the event.
Event pop. So I thought, okay, people are going to be out here. It's a Friendsgiving, socializing. But what can they do besides eating, though? Like, people love music, so it would be nice to have some live music. People love wine tasting, so we make sure we brought that element in so people can have some complimentary wine as they're walking around and talking. Makes it more social. And then also, what was really cool was we added a henna artist. We had complimentary henna for about an hour and a half. So you had the choice of, coming and getting whatever design you wanted. And then Stephanie added the photo booth, which is always fun. You got to have some cute photos that you can has the event name and like the decor.
Right.
So yeah, so I think those elements helped make our event, like elevated our event and made people,
Yeah, absolutely.
The music was really good. I wish we would have got more video of that though. But
I know I got a little bit on my phone, but again, that's another thing that next time for the list is really having audible, because the drone was great, but there was no audio. So I think that would have been good to have some sort of audio, videos. I don't know, it would have been nice.
Posted it yet, Stephanie. I posted on my Facebook page, but the drone footage was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
We can use that for marketing. So yeah, so having a drone footage, that's like the new thing people do. The music,
Yeah.
live music, people love live music.
Mm-hmm.
Complimentary wine tasting. And also, we had some non-alcoholic options. We had unlimited not mimosas, unlimited margaritas. So people
Yeah.
over to the margarita machine, getting their little cute cup with the umbrella. So you want to have some things that people can take away.
Yeah.
That was really nice. So
The other thing that we did, how can we forget, was the kind of, I don't know what to really call it. I kind of called it like an interactive scavenger challenge that we did. And that was a hit because I wish I could share a picture of it somehow. But basically, it was a sheet of paper that we gave to each of our guests, and that it had little squares of activities that they could do, such as take a photo with this person, or take a photo of this food item, take a photo at the swing, or take a photo of the venue. So basically, it was another way for us to really increase the marketing for the event and get people in, doing something, giving them something else to do while they were at the event. And so for weeks later, we were still getting tagged and stuff, because each time they posted it to their stories, it was entering them to win a gift card. And so it definitely was, it was nice. I mean, it was absolutely overwhelming because there were so many notifications, but people were sharing how they had a good time. We have people that weren't even there that are like, oh my goodness, are y'all doing it again? Like, when is the next one? And so it really worked well for, in terms of marketing, both of our businesses. And again, more visibility, which is what every influencer dreams of, is, just having more visibility. So that activity, I highly recommend it, just putting something together to get people engaged and tagging you guys, tagging the vendors, and just, kind of just spreading the whole event, across social media.
So the thing about when you host an event, right, you want people to come together and kind of like mingle, but it's hard to get strangers to mingle. So we knew we needed a way to get people to interact, and people, love taking selfies or taking a picture here and there. And then once people, see that you're doing something else besides just standing there, they're going to join in. Also, we knew that, we need to get visibility for the brands we were working with. So, this was a good way, like Stephanie was saying, to make sure that the brands that we're working with are getting tagged and their notifications are blowing up too, because, in a collaboration, you want to, again, make good on your promise that, you're going to bring visibility to their product. So it was a fun way to, get brand visibility for us and for the collaborations that we have partnered with.
Right. So if anybody has questions, I see some comments. I probably missed some. Jaquila said that's what I do, virtual events. I feel you.
Jaquila, she's like, that's a lot. Oh, I see 21 Sweets.
Yeah.
She has the best cookies, guys. If you're not following her, please follow 21 Sweets. Vanessa, she's very sweet, and she has very awesome cookies.
Those cookies were good. I mean, shoot, everything was good. Posting those pictures was so hard yesterday. I'm just like, oh, I just want to have, especially those cupcakes. That's my weakness. Okay. The next thing, marketing. So if you're just joining us, again, we're talking about how to host an event as an influencer. And so many of you may have hosted events before, but trust me when I say hosting one as an influencer is different than hosting an event maybe for work or a baby shower or things like that, because there you have to be thinking brand minded, collaboration, the whole time. So we will definitely post this afterwards, so you can, if you joined in late, you can go back and catch this. So but number 9 is the marketing part of it. So thank God we all have social media. And so it is, that's a great way to be able to immediately market your event for free. I mean, you could pay for Facebook ads, but it's just, for us, we didn't need to do that. We only decided we wanted around 25 people or so there anyway. And so we really didn't need to blast it, out in that way. But it was, definitely posted to all of your social media platforms, and ask your friends, your, other influencer followers to share the event, post it in their stories, that way, again, it spreads the word. And then to me, and I think Kiva will agree, the most valuable thing that we did in terms of marketing our event was get in those DMs. We DM'd and spammed the mess out of every blogger in the Tampa Bay area. Literally did a search for Tampa. Well, for me, I did a search for either Tampa influencers or Tampa bloggers or just whatever. And I just went down the line. And I'm telling you, strangers, people I've never met before, people that I have absolutely never interacted with in any way, were like, yeah, sure, I would like to come, And so people, again, influencers, y'all love to be out and about. You love to meet new people. And so nobody messaged me back like, oh, why are you sending me this? I don't ever talk to you, So that definitely, to me, was more valuable than even if we had paid for an ad, because that personal aspect. I think, Kiva, you even actually did a voice message for your invite. Yes. And so I'm sure that helped as well, because I was just typing a message and sending it out to everybody. But, we just had good responses just from people. That personal touch, I think, matters, because I think, so you see an event posted, I think people kind of subconsciously, they may want to go, but they're like, am I invited? Even if you have a completely open invitation and it says that on your flyer, people kind of have but I don't want to be like seen thirsty, or I don't know, people have their own reasons for not just immediately just getting on there and, saying, hey, let me get my ticket. And so it was nice to know people felt like, oh, they actually want me to come, and so people were really open to that. So I definitely recommend using that when you go to market your own event, post it on Facebook and whatnot, but DMing people is going to be the best way to get in touch with other people.
Yeah. Also, like Stephanie was saying, you utilizing all of the social aspects. So like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Facebook groups, grandmas, everybody. Like, hey, call up your auntie. Like, do you know anybody in Tampa that would want to come to this?
Yeah. The only thing I will say with the Facebook groups is just making sure, that you're making sure it's your target market for your event. Like I didn't post it to my mom's group that because I didn't want to, you want people, I don't know. I just didn't. Okay. I posted it to, groups that I knew people were super active. People are, wanting to go out. It was other blogger groups and things like that. Because that was kind of our target audience, was other influencers as well as friends of theirs. But we didn't want it to just be every person in the Tampa Bay area, come. We definitely had an idea of the type of people that we wanted, not in a discriminatory way, but definitely just the market that you were trying to reach and connect with. You definitely have to be thinking about that. So when you're posting to the Facebook groups, just consider, is this group, are these members part of the actual people that I want to see there, so.
Goes along with your messaging. I made sure, like, when I posted to the different Facebook groups, I had like a different message for each group. So like I did post in a few moms, and I was just like, hey, mom's night out, like let's come out, take a break from your everyday routine. I would just like have a different message. But I mean, like I said, I didn't, like you were saying, I didn't post in every single group, because I'm like but yeah, I didn't know which group. Like I posted to a foodie group. I'm like, hey foodies, like, do you love to try different restaurants? Like, come to our event because we're gonna have so many different food, restaurants there. So for each group I posted to, I made sure I just switched up my message a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. So the marketing can be simple. Again, that's an area where you don't have to end up coming out of pocket for that if you, again, use your influence that you have. So
also
number 10.
Somebody just joined us from Black Owned Tampa. What I also did too is I just asked other people who have platforms to make sure, like, hey, can you share my event? So that was a good way to get your event out in front of other people. Luckily, during the time that we were promoting our event, I did a Instagram takeover for Black on Tampa, and I like,
Oh yeah.
hey, we're having an event, check it out. So definitely use
Yeah.
network and other people's platforms. Like, hey, help me out. Because like it takes nothing for people to post it in their story. I'm not asking them to make a post about it, but like, if you can just put it in your story,
Right.
people love watching stories nowadays. So hey, ask people to
Yeah.
post your things in their stories, and people will help you out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mark.
All right. So we are on number 10. If you're just joining us, we're sorry that you missed the first nine, but you can catch the replay. So number 10, we'll talk about post-event ideas.
Yes. So, lastly, you want to make sure that you have a way to capture your attendees' information, like if it's their email, if it's their name, their phone number, because like this is your network that you're trying to build, and you want to reach out to them again, like as for sending thank yous or to let them know about future events, or just to like for yourself to like send like a small message like, hey, thank you so much for coming out, or send snail mail. People love getting handwritten notes. And also, you want to keep the momentum going. Like, we just had a really nice event. Now, like, people are talking about, maybe your platform, what you did. So you want to make sure you're continuing the momentum. You don't want to lose it. So you want to keep, the contact or could keep the relationship going.
Right. One of the other things we didn't talk about was the swag bags, gift bags, or whatever people call them. That is another key part. Even when you go to a baby shower, you always leave with a candle or something, And so definitely at your event, we just went to an event of another blogger here, and that swag bag was hefty. Okay. It was so hefty. And then this is another thing when it comes to budgeting, you really shouldn't have to pay anything as an influencer. You shouldn't have to pay anything for the items in your swag bag. That's the one part of your event to, where companies love to throw in. It could be a coupon, it could be product, it could be just, a sample of something. It doesn't have to be, one specific thing, but you should definitely reach out to as many companies and brands as you can to get them to contribute to your swag bag. And again, you're letting them know that you're doing it in exchange for marketing or whatever it is that you want to barter with with that brand. But swag bags are really important. It's just a nice way to say thanks for coming to our event, especially if they paid. I mean, they invested in you. When someone comes to an event, when someone buys your product as a business owner or as an influencer, they are literally investing in you. This is not like some random, like company, like it's a person, and so when people support you, you want to thank them. And so it's just a nice way to do that. And people love free stuff. So why not?
Really nice. We had a candle. We had like some tea, herbal tea. We had, what did we have from the lady with
um,
Audrey?
the shoot, why would I forget the name that quick? It'll come back to me. What is the name? I was gonna say, why am I forgetting the name?
Pleasure site. Pleasure.
Pleasure. Yeah.
But I don't know what
It's
swag though. Did you get a swag bag yourself?
No, I didn't. I think we kind of had planned it that way, though. I think one was left over and I gave it at the end to somebody. So
Yeah.
no, I did not get one. But definitely people love to leave with, with something. I would recommend not just throwing a bunch of papers in there. I go to a lot of conferences, well, pre-COVID, a lot of conferences and things like that. And people are always just throwing like informationals in there. Like that's nice, but in the swag bag, you want to try to keep it to items of actual value. And not to say that information is not valuable, but don't just fill it with a bunch of sheets of paper that people are going to throw out. If it is paper, hopefully it's a coupon or, something of that sort. So you're not just filling a bag up to make it look like it's full. I think that's just not good.
There a flyer, but it was for like therapy, which I think was good because last year everybody was cooped up in their house. People were going through a lot of stuff. So, it was just a way for you to, contact, a therapist if you need to. So I think we only had one of those. We didn't have like 20 paper.
It wasn't filled right. And that's something of absolutely of value, in this time. So, but, some people, like I said, I've been to too many events where it's just like, you're just taking paper after paper out and you're like, okay, what is this? I don't need it. So,
Yeah.
definitely don't.
We didn't talk about our event, having the whole COVID thing. So we did decide
Yeah.
during COVID. I know people probably thought we were crazy, but one, we, considered, the safety guidelines and the fact that we were helping businesses, small businesses who have been struck by COVID. So we wanted to kind of give back to our community, and we felt like, as food influencers and, just local Tampa Bay people who live here, residents, we're like, man, this could be a way we can give back too, because we know the food industry was hit really hard. Like people had to close their restaurants. Some people are not fully back open. Maybe they're only doing takeout only. So I thought this was, a good way to, we're having an event, but we're also giving back and in a way that we're letting people know that, hey, these places of businesses are open. So I thought that was good. We kept it outside. We specifically
Yeah.
outside event because we wanted people to feel comfortable not being in a closed in space. We let people know that, your mask, you're free to wear your mask. We kept it to a small size. We didn't want more than 25 people. I think we had like altogether 30, but we knew we had
Yeah.
a small group. So, those were the reasons why we decided to, continue on and having our event, even though, it's a national pandemic. So,
Right.
so now, like, the pandemic is still here. It's not really going anywhere. As so now we're just finding ways that you can still promote and have your own business, but through a pandemic. So I think this was good for us.
Right.
Utilize our skills and decided to like do it anyway, and it worked out. So I'm happy.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad that we went with it. Like you said, it was an outdoor venue, and it was, I mean, there was never a time where it was like a huge cluster of people because people were so spread out. You know what I mean? So I think it really, nobody got sick. We don't have any reports of, cases after our event or anything like that. So it definitely was, it was a success even in the midst of a pandemic. So, and that was one of the questions that someone asked was how did COVID affect our event? And, I think it did. A lot of people did respond and say they didn't feel comfortable
Yeah.
coming out to events, at that period of time. I think we would have had more people, obviously we would have planned for a bigger crowd if COVID wasn't happening. But, people were still in no judgment. If someone wasn't able to make it for reasons of, wanting to stay home, we, understood, no problem. Hope you can make it to the next one and, move on. So not an issue at all.
I just realized that I left the questions on my phone. I don't think I can get them.
Oh, I have them. No, I have them. So the other question was if someone asked about like the time of year, like when is the best time of year to plan an event?
Do they live in Florida?
I was gonna say because you're definitely not doing it in July and August, not outside at least.
I'll never forget. I went to a wedding in July in Georgia, and literally, and I'm a sweater, so I should have known. I should have had a different type of material on. But basically, I sat out there, and my whole dress was just like wet. It was so embarrassing. I'm like, I should just.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, well, I'm still new to Florida, so I immediately in the summertime, when I step foot out my door, I'm drenched. And I'm like, I see people down at Hyde Park walking around in their cute little dresses and stuff, and I'm like, how are they not sweating? Like, I literally whole dress just wet when I do that. Like, I don't get it. But yeah, I would definitely not host an event outside, but you can obviously host an event indoors. I don't think there's ever a wrong time to host an event. I think, when you're around holiday time, you have to be sensitive to that and know that if your event is like the day before Thanksgiving or something, people probably already have it planned out. Or you want to really promote it early so that you're the first thing on their November calendar if you're hosting it around that time. We just got, we knew that we wanted a smaller event, so we weren't really working against, we weren't trying to get hundreds of people to come out around holiday time. So that worked out in our benefit. But I mean, any time of year, honestly, is fine to host an event depending on where you live and, what's going on in your area. If you live like in Augusta, Georgia, maybe don't host it during, what's it called? The golf. Yeah, maybe don't host it during that week. But you have to consider what's going on in your area. But again, as an influencer, you are probably well aware of what's going on in your area. And so, hey, this huge event is going on at this time. I probably shouldn't host it, in my city for this period of time. So just always have your ear to the streets.
To that a little bit. So we decided on our event. We sent out the message, and then like a couple days later, we get notification that another influencer event is happening on our same day. We're like, oh, Oh,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, but we didn't know about it, and there was no advertisement. It like came out of thin air. We were like, "What are we gonna do?" I asked Kiva, like, "Are we gonna cancel?" And she was like, "No. Why would we? Why would we cancel?"
it like throw a wrench in our plan. So we're like, man, so like we're both targeting the same audience. This is an influencer event,
Right.
and it's like we want influencers to come to our event. And then we had to like do the whole like self doubt thing, like, oh my god, are people gonna come to our event still? You know, they're you know a bigger name in the Tampa area. But yeah, we
Right.
through some um
Yeah.
mental
We,
gymnastics for a little bit, but we decided,
but you'll have that.
yeah, we
You'll absolutely have that, and just keep moving forward, even if you get close to the event and it seems like, where are the numbers? I think you just, like, I think I had told Kiva, I said a prayer, like, you got to bring these 25 people, because we, at minimum, we needed our 25, and so, and you'll have people that you're like, okay, she's coming, and then they pull out, and then all of a sudden she got to do something else, she has to cancel, and it's like, you will definitely go through that with, that's just life. You'll have your doubts, and you'll feel like you're up against, all these different oppositions, but we kept going, and we were over, our amount, but still within, the number that we could accommodate. But it just worked out perfectly, because we didn't give up, even despite, there were 2 events, I think, happening, and we just kept going. So
yeah, I just
yeah.
Black Chef Eatery started joining our video. Y'all, if y'all have not tried their wings yet, make sure you
I have got to go there.
try their yuppie wings and their yuppie shrimp. Okay.
Shoot, I can't go for, like, I'm eating
20.
a different diet right now, and so I can't go for probably the rest of this month, pretty much. So, but Black Chef Eatery, I'll see y'all in February, okay?
It's really good too. It's right down the Ybor, right on 7th, so
Yeah.
not hard to miss.
Okay. Yep, I'll check it out. Another question we kind of talked about already was combating fear. So just thinking maybe that you don't have what it takes to host an event, or people don't know you. Again, I am 100% new to Tampa. I popped up out of absolutely nowhere. I don't even know what y'all were thinking when I initially started connecting with everybody. Like, who is this girl? But there was never any, I just never felt, and hopefully in your city, it's the same way, that you feel welcomed, if you happen to be new. But you cannot let the fear, I still have under 1,700 followers, and, I have been able to do a lot of things with that number of followers, because it's not always the follower count, that matters. It's the connections that matter. And, that's going to take you further than even, having a certain amount of, I've had people with, tons and tons of followers, and honestly, sometimes they have no influence because they just have tons of followers, period, in numbers, but no one is really paying them any attention. But that's another topic on another day.
Where comes in, you gotta, make sure you're cultivating the network,
Yes. The other question was about ever having to cancel. I'm not sure what was meant by that, but have you ever had to cancel
well, I guess
an event?
kind of a little bit where we were like, man, there's 2 events going on the same day, because like doing it a Friendsgiving, we wanted to do it close to Thanksgiving, but not on Thanksgiving. So basically, we only had like 1 or 2 choices, like either the week before or like 2 weeks before.
Mhm.
Do it after. That would make no sense. So I guess
Yeah,
that was a hot date that we picked. So
it was.
so we were like, when we found out that 2 other people, were having influencer type of events, we're like, man. I mean, again, the planning had already begun. We had already reached out to brands, so we were like, we're not.
It had to happen. Yeah, it had to happen. So, but you also, we didn't talk about, I do talk about it in my blog. So I have a whole blog via my link in my bio that you can read, that talks about all of this. But I do mention having day of insurance. And so day of insurance cancels you should you have to day of insurance protects you should you have to cancel your event. And so let's say that you booked a venue and you already paid your down payment and everything, got to cancel for whatever the reason is. Day of insurance will cover you so that you don't suffer financial loss for that. And so that is something that I'm not sure if 100% of venues require that, but it is definitely recommended, especially if you're having liquor at your event of some sort. You definitely will need that with the host liquor liability. That's just in case somebody drinks too much and tears up the venue. So you don't want to be on the hook. So protect yourself when you're having an event if you can. especially if you're having, alcohol. Not everybody gets it, not everyone requires it, but definitely figure out if you should. It's affordable. I think you can get it for as cheap as 75, but depending on what kind of coverage you need. So,
Yeah.
and you can you got it the day, literally you bought it the day of or day before. So you can get it like right up to your,
So
yeah.
Who you're hosting an event with, the event space, requires you to have something because, they have insurance, but they want you to have your own insurance, which makes sense.
Right.
That's another reason why we went with the version frozen margaritas, because we're like, okay, people are driving to Dade City. We don't want to have unlimited margaritas and then tasting wine too. So, we wanted to make sure you guys got home safely. So depending on the type of event you're having, yeah, you definitely want to take the alcohol thing into consideration.
Right. The other question is, what is a good budget? And so that's a question that only you can answer as the influencer that, hopefully you are partnering, like Kiva said. If you're partnering with another influencer, then you're doubling whatever your personal budget is. And so that will allow you to have more income, make more profits from the event. It'll allow you to invest in the event a little bit more. She said that drive was nice. Yeah, it was a drive. That's another thing to consider. I do talk about that in the blog, just making sure that you think about, where am I having this event? Where are the bulk of my people coming from? Because driving is a factor. People will literally be like, 20 minutes away, I'm not doing that. Like, people don't necessarily want to drive super far. So you have to consider, ours was an hour for most people. And so they still did it. Again, thank y'all for the support.
Right.
But not everybody not every event, we can't do that for every event. That's just, it was far. So, but back to the budgeting. It's up to you. Just do not go in debt. I can't say that enough. There is no reason to go in debt having an event, but you will need to invest some money up front. You may get it all back. That would be great, to have that kind of a profit that you get back more than what you invested. But, you still have to spend that up front. So there are definitely, costs that you have to put in. But your budget is whatever you decide. If you say, I can only spend, 200, 300, 400, whatever the amount is, stick to that, unless something comes up. I think I may have said, like, if we just have to spend a little bit more, we can definitely see if it's worth it. But you just don't want to be arbitrarily spending money and spend things on money that actually will help your event, and don't waste money, definitely like look around to try and get the best price on the different things that you need, whether it's plates or even if it's a photographer. You don't always want the cheapest, but you definitely want to make sure that your money is going, towards something that can really add value. So your budget is your choice.
Yeah. And also it's 7:55 right now. So maybe we should, go ahead and just see if people have questions before Instagram times us out. I hate those Zoom calls when it's like, you have 40 minutes and the next thing you know, it all just over. So let's just go through. I think you have control of the questions because I can't really respond to people. So.
Oh yeah, well I don't know. There's nothing in this question box. So let's see. I mean, if anybody has questions, definitely feel free to type them in. Is anybody thinking about, after hearing this, maybe you're considering, how do I get out of this? I'm afraid I'm going to end this whole thing because I'm too many buttons.
But before we get off though, we do want to let people know that, make sure you are stepping out of your comfort zone, do it afraid, do it scared, because people are, they're looking for you for inspiration. So again, it's not about a follower count. It's about what you have to offer. We did an event shortly after. Somebody that, is in our circle, they said, wow, your event really inspired me to host my event. And they went ahead and, they were inspired by what we did. Because at first they were saying that they weren't going to do it. But then when they came to our event and saw how we put it together, they're like, wow, I can really, do something similar. So people are waiting for you to showcase what you have to offer, y'all. So don't be afraid.
Right.
That's out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the best bit of advice. If there are no questions, is just, if you are thinking about it, stop thinking about it and start planning it. Find you a partner, someone that you can rely on, that you trust, even if it is people don't really know me that well. So even if it is somebody that you don't know that well, you can get a vibe for people just from their page, I think most of the times. And so find somebody that you can, go in and partner with for the event and just do it. And don't let the fear of who will come. I mean, just again, if you're hosting other influencers love coming to stuff. That's what they do. They love to go and take pictures and be invited to stuff. And, just there's just no reason not to do it. Again, it's a great way to add to your income, you know, and not always just be doing sponsored posts, which are great, you know. But why not venture out into a new lane that honestly I think is pretty untapped when it comes to influencers? You just don't see a lot of us hosting events like that, you know.
Just speaking of influencers, I saw that Javen, Red Lip Foodie, just joined us, and she came to our event and then went to another event. We definitely want to just give her a special shout out. Thank you so much for supporting us. Like, she really wants to just make sure that, you know, she knew that, you know, she was in our corner. So, girl, thank you again.
Thank you. Yeah, I was like, you're going to both. When I saw her picture at the other event later, I was like, there is no way she went to both, and she did. So yeah, absolutely. Shout out to you, Javon.
Because I don't know about.
All right.
I'd have been like, I can't make it. Sorry.
I know, but that's the kind of support. Again, this community, the Tampa community, most of the people that I've met, you know, in terms of bloggers and foodies and whatnot, everybody has been, you know, just very, shouldn't say everybody, but most people have just been that supportive. You know, they'll give you the support, commenting or sharing or showing up, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's just a no-brainer because they know you're in that Tampa community, you know, so I love that.
Yeah. So thank you again, guys. We're gonna share this both to our pages, right? So people can go back and watch the play. Like Stephanie was saying, she has a blog post about it. I'm not even gonna say I'm gonna put one up. I might, but we'll go over the 10
I thought you already typed it.
Girl.
So funny. Yeah, this is the blogger life. You can have all these plans and sometimes you just like, I just couldn't get to it. So yeah. But yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for joining in. We will post it. You can refer back to it. Absolutely follow both of us if you are not. I don't know if people can even see lives if they're not following you, but definitely look out. You know, we may be doing something again in 2021. And, you know, there's a lot of people that are like, man, I wish I could have come. How can I go to the next one? Follow us and connect with us, and you will absolutely know about the next one. So definitely look forward to connecting with y'all.
All right. Have a good night, guys. Thanks, Stephanie.
All right. Good night. Thanks for coming. I don't know how to end this. Let me see. All right. I think I can. Let me see.
Okay.
There we go. All right. Bye.